Welcome to the David Goad Show. My name is David Goad. They say anyone can have a show on the internet, and guess what? I qualify as anyone, so here it is. This is a show about you and about public speaking, about video speaking, and I want to be able to answer the questions that you have and how to find your voice and become a more impactful speaker and communicator. So I put out a call for topics on Facebook, and one of the ones that I had that came in this particular week was this. My friend Matt Decker, he said, how do you ensure that your emotions don't distract from your message when you're speaking? Now, I happen to know Matt, and I know he does presentations on a variety of topics, and one of them includes veterans and PTSD, probably suicide, some really serious and heavy topics. And Matt, I'm sure you have a lot of emotion surrounding this. I know you're a veteran yourself. And so when you're giving a talk and you start to break down or kind of get that emotion welling up inside of you, you're telling a story, you sometimes can feel like you're not really in control. And then maybe that's somehow weakening your message or distracting too much from the message for the audience. My reaction to that is this. I think people usually err on the side of not enough emotion when they're speaking. And of course, this is all situational and relevant to the audience and the scenario that you're in. But I think there's so many business presentations and even motivational speeches that are so devoid of emotion that it's boring. It doesn't connect with the audience and doesn't reach out and grab people. So I would encourage you to show emotion, but make sure that you've practiced the point. Like even when you get to the end of an emotional story, if you're not just retelling it, you're kind of reliving it and even crying up on stage, I think that's fine. But make sure when you come out of it, you say, so here's my point, and get back to that part that you've rehearsed and worked on to make sure the audience comes back with you. But boy, I can tell you all the times when I see a speaker get emotional and the room gets really quiet and everyone is just like locked in and listening. And that's a good thing when you're doing public speaking. Quick example, I was teaching a workshop up in Lake Tahoe. There was 100 executive admins in the audience. And I'd given an assignment to have 3 of them come up and do a quick little 5-minute speech. And I was doing some live coaching on stage. And the last one to come up, her name was Leah. And she was crying when I looked over the doorway, coming up to the lectern, ready to do her thing. And I kind of encouraged her. The audience encouraged her. And she had a story of her life that she had never told. This was the first time really venting about how so many people spoke into her life that she was not worthy and not good enough and would never amount to anything. But at each point in her life, she always had someone who came in and rescued her and told her she was worth it, that she was worth having a voice, that she would succeed, and it got her through all these difficulties in her life. I got to tell you, she cried her way through the whole thing, but the audience was so with her. They were so supportive. They were applauding. Come on, Leah. Yes, we want to hear your story. And by the end of that story, she breathed this big sigh of relief and her shoulders had kind of like gone from tense to relaxed and she got it out. And everybody gave her a standing ovation. And that message was so clearly communicated that the people who speak failure into your life can be overcome with the people who speak success into your life. Now, it's also been said, and I've heard this from others, that audiences want to hear what you've been through, but not necessarily while you're still going through it. So there is that point sometimes where someone hasn't really recovered, they haven't really overcome, and they're just venting in the middle of the struggle. And that's a little tougher for audiences because the energy, you bring the audience down to this very serious place with you, but you never really bring them back up. They want to hear what you did, how it transformed you, and how you overcome. So maybe be careful about picking your topics. And Matt, you specifically, I'd be happy to talk with you individually and talk about how to do that in your talk. But to the general audience out here, I encourage you all to use emotion, the joy, enthusiasm, even sadness. These are things that will connect the audience to you. They'll feel your story, and they'll remember your story, and they'll remember the message that you wanted them to take away at the end. So Matt, there's my answer to you. So the format of the show is going to be very free form. I may be doing interviews with fascinating people, may just be answering your questions, but it's going to be fairly short, maybe longer sometimes. But I encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Keep sending in your questions. I'd be happy to do my best to answer them. This is the David Goad Show, episode 1, and we are signing off. We'll see you next time.